Who is the number one team in the country this point into the season? Week 2 of October, about a month and a half of football has been played. So I feel like we have enough data, we have enough information to make a good, solid starting place of who is the best team up to this point. Because we can't really say after 2 weeks who's the best team when some teams haven't been tested. Some teams don't even have a Power 4 win yet. I'm looking at Penn State and Texas. I think now we have a good enough of amount of data to make at least a good starting place, because obviously it's not a finished product. You don't want to make your final decision in October because you're going to get burned once we get into the weird vibes that is November. I think we have about 3 candidates in terms of the best team in college football. I feel very strong about the first 2 that we're going to talk about, that being Miami, Carson Beck, Malachi Toney, Mario Cristobal, and you cannot forget about Ruben Bain and plenty of the other dynamic playmakers on this team. You, of course, have Ohio State. Ohio State being the defending national champions. Ohio State with Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, CJ Donaldson, Julian Sayin. You cannot forget about Caleb Downs on the defense and plenty of others. Arvell Reese is one of my favorite players in the entire country. When we start diving into the draft conversation, he's going to be one of my favorite prospects. I can tell you that right now. And then we'll also mention Oregon. It's going to be more of an honorable mention when talking about Oregon. A, because of what we saw with Penn State and UCLA, maybe Oregon broke them. I completely get that. You can make that argument if you want, but I do think it is a very tall hill to climb if you want Oregon to be the number one team in the country. I understand they probably, what at the time felt like the most impressive win walking into the night whiteout, getting the win against Penn State, but it definitely takes a hit with that loss to UCLA. And the same could be said for Ohio State and Texas. What we thought was an immaculate test for the Ohio State defense, Texas has still not been able to get their offensive identity to click in any kind of fashion outside of playing Sam Houston State. So really, can we honestly feel like this Ohio State defense has been truly tested? I could make the argument that their battle against Washington and how they shut down in the red zone and was able to shut down Jonah Coleman and DeMond Williams, that's more of an impressive feat at this point into the season than what they did to Texas at home, especially knowing that Ohio State had to travel across country into that Washington environment. But I think when we talk about the top 2, which I think are pretty definitive, at least from my perspective, I'd be open to hearing if you think Oregon is the number one team. But I really do feel like it's Miami and it's Ohio State. Those are the top 2 teams in the country. And if you want to say one is above the other, I'm really not going to fight you on it. The only pushback that I've truly gotten has been from Ohio State fans who feel, how dare you put them anything below 1? We're the defending national champions. We have all the talent in the world. We look incredible. Why wouldn't you put us at number 1? And I will tell you why right now, because I think Miami is the number 1 team in the country. A, because of their resume. The resume is fantastic. It's fantastic. It gets stronger once you realize that Florida beat Texas. Therefore, that win looks a lot more quality in the way that Miami dominated them. One of the questions we had about Miami was how were they going to react in a road situation, a true road test for Carson Beck and the crew. They go dominate Florida State. Do not let that box score fool you in a couple months when you go look back on the ESPN page and you say, oh, Florida State, it was damn near a 1-possession game. How are we saying this is a super quality win? Well, for about 3.5 quarters, Miami dominated it. Then they took their foot off the gas pedal, and then Florida State clawed back. That's just the makeup of their team and Mike Norvell and Thomas Castellanos. You have USF on there. You have Notre Dame on there. Miami keeps rising above to the occasion, and I think they match up in talent. As much as we want to say that Ohio State is just this factory, because they are, Miami's been a factory that hasn't produced quality pieces. At the end of the day, they have been disappointing relative to what they've had. Last year with Cam Ward, a Heisman potential quarterback, they disappointed on the defense. Now, let's see what they can do when their defense is incredible. Miami can beat you in a multitude of different ways. And that's not to say when I think one team can do one thing, the other one can't. We're splitting hairs between two of the top programs in the entire country. So do not get it twisted when I say Miami can do something, therefore Ohio State can't. That's not what I'm trying to say. If anything, I'm propping both of these teams up because of how good they've played up to this point, because it's been incredible. And so when we're talking about Miami, this is a program, this is a team that has been able to win in a multitude of different ways. If you want to get beat by their defense, yeah, you can go get smashed for about 4 quarters because Ruben Bain, as a defensive player, is in my top 10 in terms of Heisman candidates. He's been that good. And for frame of reference, I make it very difficult to say that anybody could be on, at least on the defensive side of the ball, into the Heisman discussion. Now, when we're talking about, say, Ohio State, I don't know if I can confidently, and I mean with utmost confidence, that they're going to be a team that can win in a bunch of different ways. That's not to say that they can't. I just haven't seen it yet. I've seen them win a gritty fight against Texas, and I've seen them win a gritty fight against Washington. If it's got to be close every single time, now to be fair, Washington, the score wasn't that close. I just think going into that road environment, impressive win. But I wonder, can Ohio State win a shootout? They have the talent to do so. I don't deny that. I really don't. And we'll find out. They go play Illinois this weekend. I think that's going to be a fascinating matchup. We'll preview that at the end of the episode. But Miami, to me, has shown more this year. We're working off of a lot of merit that has been built in previous years with Ohio State, and understandably so. They're the national champions. If you want to take that and run, you can. But I'm basing on what I've seen this season. What I've seen this season has been more impressive feats from Miami, a team that can stack up in terms of talent, a better quarterback, a more proven quarterback. Sure, maybe they don't have the same level of wide receivers. No one in the country does, maybe outside of Alabama, but even then, I'm probably taking Ohio State. And a defense that has looked good, but has it really been tested? I think Josh Pate said it best. Have we really seen every part of this Ohio State team be tested? I feel like we have with Miami, and we know more with Miami in 2025 than we do with Ohio State. And so that's what makes me more confident when putting them at the number 1 spot in the country. Ohio State, it's no disrespect to your program. It's no disrespect to you. You will probably still take offense for me putting it at 2 as that traditionally becomes the case. And then I'd probably have Oregon at number 3.